Hi everyone, it's Liam here from biggerplate.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how mind mapping using inspiration software can help you with career planning. Whether you're a university student just about to start your working career or an experienced professional considering your next step, mind mapping is a great way to explore your own thinking, develop a sense of the possibilities, and consider what you might need or want to do in order to make things happen. So let's take a look. The first thing to say is there's really no right or wrong way to approach a career mapping exercise because it's unique to you and should therefore reflect the areas and topics that you want to explore. However, if you start with a blank inspiration mind map, it can sometimes be tricky to know where to start with something like career mapping. So instead, what I'm going to show you here is how we can use the template mind map available to download for free at biggerplate.com, and this will help give us some useful starting prompts for our thinking. As you can see, we have a number of headings in our mind map here, and each of those main headings has some subtopics beneath to further prompt our thinking. And we can open up and see those subtopics by expanding the branches like so. A key benefit of using mind mapping software like Inspiration is that we can move easily around all of this content and then jump right into whichever areas of the mind map interest us the most or require our attention. There's no need to follow any linear, rigid order or sequence of activity, and instead we can simply focus in on whichever topics we decide we want or need to explore. If we wanted to start our process by brainstorming about the ideal type of company we want to work for, we can zoom in on this section of the mind map, open up the subtopics beneath, and start to capture our ideas. However, for this example, we're actually going to start up here in this section, reflecting on our current role, and use the mind map to capture some initial ideas about the positives and negatives of the job we currently do. By building off each branch in this section of the mind map, we can capture some initial thoughts on the things we like or dislike about our current job, moving easily between these two branches depending on what comes to mind. We can be as general or as specific as we like here, perhaps adding people, quite a general topic, as a positive, and too much remote working perhaps as a negative, for example. Importantly, in the mind map, we can then go into those particular topics and add more detail. So what is it about the people that you see as a positive? We can use the mind map structure to expand a little bit further on that topic and give ourselves a little bit more clarity about why we view people as a positive. Similarly, with too much remote working as a negative, we can build on that within the mind map structure to just inform our own thinking about why too much remote working is a negative. If we look at a more developed version of this mind map, you'll see how the software has allowed us to capture a lot of information in an expansive way, but still keep everything organized and well structured. It's worth noting here how some things might appear in both the positives and the negatives branches, like learning in our example here. This is not unusual and not a problem, and it's a real illustration of things rarely being black and white when it comes to this sort of thinking. If we want to, we can even highlight the connection between something as both a positive and negative by drawing a relationship line between those two items in the software to show clearly that there is a connection between something positive and something we view as negative. Once you've built out your ideas a bit more, you may start to feed some thoughts into the next time branch as well, which is an easy way to start to define what you would ideally like your next job to look like at a very high level. For example, based on what we've captured in the positives and negatives, we might say that any future job must be client-facing, have a better balance of remote and office work, and provide clear opportunities for career progression, perhaps. Once again, we can use inspiration to expand on those ideas if necessary. For example, to get that career progression we're seeking, do we maybe need to look at working for bigger companies where there may be more pathways available? Use the software to capture and expand on anything that you put into the mind map, remembering of course that we can always just close those branches and hide that extra information when we don't need it right now, but know that it's there to look at whenever we might want to. The other sections of the mind map work in much the same way. They're there to help prompt your thinking about lots of different things related to your career, from big questions in this section about your passions, values, and career goals, to maybe more specific tactical areas like an evaluation of your professional strengths and weaknesses, which can be a useful thing to reflect upon when you're putting together your resume and or preparing for job interviews. For example, in this section of the mind map, we've not only captured the strengths we think we have today, like a strong UK network, for example, but we've also started to capture the strengths we'd like to have in the future. Perhaps we want to be better at public speaking and have a strong global network of contacts rather than just a UK network. As we consider these strengths and future strengths, we can use this section of the mind map to capture actions that we might take to build on our strengths. We recommend a simple set of prompts at Bigger Plate when it comes to action planning, and that's to think about what we can stop doing, start doing, do more of, and do less of. If you reflect on the strengths you have and the strengths you want, you can almost always think of immediate actions and capture them in this mind map. For example, we might do more connecting internationally on LinkedIn to build that global network. We might start a personal blog to share our professional expertise on certain topics and build that thought leadership. The same principle and process applies in the weakness area of the mind map. And as you identify tangible actions to take in response to your strengths and weaknesses, you're actually starting to build out your own career development plan, targeting key things that you want to improve and capturing them all coherently in one place using the Inspiration Mind Map. Finally, when it comes to researching the companies and jobs that you might try to move into, the same Inspiration Mind Map can help us capture and manage key information and ideas as we navigate the job searching, applications, and interview processes. For example, after taking the time to reflect on what we are aiming for in the future, we're now ready to start researching companies and jobs perhaps that might fit with what we're looking for. So, in this section of the mind map, in addition to some headline reminders about what we're looking for, we can now start to do some research and brainstorming around potential companies. Let's say we found a couple of companies that look interesting as we've captured here in the mind map, and they seem to match up with our plans. Using the Inspiration Mind Map, we can capture some pros and cons about the company based on our research. For example, maybe we have known contacts at Alpha Company and they've told us that the culture there is great. So maybe those two things can go into our pros branch. Negatives for Alpha Company could be things like no locations, or maybe it's an entirely remote company and that goes against what we've captured earlier as things we want from our next move. But we can just capture initial thoughts on pros and cons of our potential candidate companies. Now, let's say another positive for this company is that maybe they are advertising open positions on their website that fit your interests. Let's add that into our positives. But more importantly, here's where we might also start to leverage some additional functionality within Inspiration to pull more useful information into this career map so that we keep everything we need in one easy to access place. Using the Notes feature within the software, I can add additional information to any topic in the mind map. So for example, when we're looking at jobs and things like that, I might copy and paste a section of text from their webpage that I want to keep easily available and readily to hand. This is a great way to add huge extra depth to your mind map without creating too much clutter and making it hard to manage. When you don't need to see this information, you simply collapse the note so it goes out of sight, leaving just this little icon on the screen to tell you that there's more information beneath the surface if and when you need it. Another useful feature within Inspiration when you get into this phase is perhaps saving of hyperlinks into the mind map so that you can quickly jump to important web pages that you discover during your research. For example, we might copy the web address for this particular job and save it into the mind map for future reference. You'll see the text changes here to tell us that there is now a clickable text, and this would take us right to the web page where we want to go. From here, you can continue using the mind map to capture and keep track of your actions in relation to each company, turning this mind map and this specific section of the mind map into your control center for everything related to your job change process. So there you have it. A quick look at how Inspiration software can help you to map out your career plans and start turning them into action. This one mind map combines both a high-level view of where you are and where you want to go with a detailed breakdown of specific ideas, actions, and information that you need to move forward. I hope you found this video useful and good luck with your career planning. For more templates, webinars, videos, and resources to help you go further with mind mapping, head on over to biggerplate.com. To try out Inspiration for yourself, just visit inspiration-at.com where you can download a free trial.